Hello, everybody, and welcome to The Educated Recruit. Excited to have you here. To my left is Jeff Hansen, who I had the pleasure of coaching when he was a student athlete, three-time all-conference athlete, as well as a 3.5 GPA upon graduation. To my right is Marla Brady, a former school principal and current career direction specialist. All the way over there to the right is Hans Hansen, happens to be Jeff's dad, an author on the recruiting process, speaker, and also has counseled many student athletes over the years on the process. And I'm Wayne Mazzoni. I've been a college coach since 1992, also an author and speaker on recruiting. And the first topic that we want to bring to you is the main gist of the recruiting process. And I think you'll all realize that all you have to really be is just an average student athlete. You could just be halfway decent at your sport, and there will be a college roster spot for you. The whole thing's easy. You don't really need this website. You don't need any help. The whole thing's easy. So hands right, recruiting is just, it's kind of pretty, just takes care of itself, really.
That it does not. So let's get started here. Let's just take a look at the numbers. We love the numbers. It's a numbers game. Like you said, a lot of people, they think that there's a college roster spot out there for everybody. You hear speakers saying that yourself. And then I saw you speak one night, and you said to the crowd, do you think there's a college roster spot out there for everybody? And they all wanted to raise their hand and say yes. And you said, no, there's not. Why not?
Well, the reality, first of all, as a college coach, and you'll get so many letters and emails and videos from players, and you'll go watch kids play. Just the sheer number of high school athletes in any sport compared to the number of college athletes there, how could there be a roster spot for everybody? So I think you got some numbers that you'd like to share.
Okay, right now there's 2.5 million high school senior athletes in this country right now competing for 100,000 college roster spots. That's 1 out of 25. One out of every 24 or 25 high school senior athletes will go on and play college sports. So we know those numbers, and 1 out of 25 is a daunting number, but only half of them at best are ever successful.
Folks, you need to realize this right now. Just to become a college freshman student athlete is you need to be motivated, talented, understand recruiting. To then last for 4 years at the college level in your sport, you got to be talented, motivated, and have your life in order. And unfortunately, a lot of kids come in as a freshman and stop playing the sport, maybe drop out of school, but it's not easy to play 4 years of college athletics.
Okay, and as a college baseball coach, you bring in 10 or 12 college freshmen every year. Do you need all of them to be successful?
You'd like them all to be successful. No, you don't need them all to be successful. You look at them as seniors, you're looking at 4 or left.
4 of them.
4 of them, right. That's pretty typical numbers.
So from the high school standpoint, where there's about 1 out of every 25 high school senior athletes going on to get a college roster spot, the reality of it is there's only about 1 out of every 50 that will have success. Okay, now, March Madness.
March Madness.
We love March Madness. March Madness, Final Four, college basketball, everybody knows that. But I have a different version, a different take on March Madness. Here in March, we have 2.3 million high school senior athletes that have nothing going on at all with the college recruiting. Their career is over in a couple months. That is madness. Now, Jeffrey, if you were a senior and you were looking at the end of your competitive baseball career being in 2 or 3 months, how maddening would that be?
I don't think it really hits you till you're actually done. That first day the first day after your season, I mean, even your first day after your senior season, you know you're going to play college sports is tough, but for the rest of those kids who know they're never going to play their sport again, they played it their whole life since you're 5 years old, and to really not be playing that anymore, it's just crazy. Thanks.
So on every high school campus, at every high school graduation, there's 23 out of 24 athletes that are done playing. Yeah, a competitive sport. And that's a pretty alarming number. That's the reality.
A scary piece is, as a college coach, I'll get calls in March, April of a kid's senior year. What's going on with your recruiting process? Do you have any spots left? Folks, it's been done for 6 months. I mean, so you need to start early, and you need to be in order rather than get into that springtime March Madness where you just go, oh my God, I'm pretty much done with my playing career.
Okay, now, I get asked quite often, why do I do this work? Back to the numbers again. Successful, satisfied college student athletes graduate college, your teammates, at a rate over 90%. Why? Because they have to. They have to stay on track, right? If you want to play as a senior, don't you have to be a senior academically?
Sure.
Okay. Now, the rest of the country, the national average graduation rate on time for a four-year degree is less than 40%.
Less than 40%. Right. Nationally, less than 40% of students graduate on time.
So if you can double your likelihood of graduating on time, success and satisfaction does that.
Correct.
Then how
Do you
valuable
think
is that?
that's due to the planning and the schedule that you have to be on as a student athlete?
Well, student athletes have to maintain a rigor in their courses and in their time management in order to maintain their eligibility. So with that said, those that are successful do complete 90% on time before your graduation.
Okay, so that is why I've done this work. Everybody thinks I want to help everybody play sports longer, and yes, while we like to have kids play sports longer, fact of the matter is, to be a successful college student athlete, your likelihood of graduating college on time is more than double that of the rest of the country.
And I think I might segue us into the next piece is we're talking about graduating 4 years for a big reason. Not only will you get on it with your life and get to have an employment, but it's expensive. So Marla, what's the average time that it takes a student, or I should say a student, to go through college?
Nationally, it takes 5.8 years to get a four-year degree. So universities typically are reporting out their graduation rates as 6-year graduation rates. So when parents plan to pay for a four-year degree, all of a sudden we're looking now at student loan debt and family impact for covering those next 2 years.
Okay, and in your mind, what are a couple of the reasons why it takes so long?
Students change majors. They go to school thinking they want to do one thing in their life, and then they end up changing majors because they don't like the courses or it's not a good fit. And just like an athlete finding the right fit in college, the college athlete also has to find the right career fit in that prospect, and they will feel more satisfaction and greater success because of it.
And I mean, we're certainly not going to cover that here in this first segment, but definitely as we move on, that's going to be a big piece is the academic satisfaction and direction of these student athletes.
So let's talk about cost for a minute since you brought it up, and I just love this. Since you mentioned kids are changing majors all the time, taking an extra year or two to graduate in college, the national average cost of changing a college major is $30,000 plus 1 year of lost income.
Correct. And that's why we see student loan debt topping $1 billion.
Wow.
Nationally, the average student coming out of college has a $30,000 loan debt.
Wow.
Now, $30,000 as a cost to changing majors. With some young children of yours growing up, how many times are you going to allow them to change their major?
No times. I mean, seriously, right? It's you got to come in ideally knowing what you want, or quickly as possible figuring it out. I'm sure there's ways we could talk about that later, but yeah, the sooner you figure out your life and your path, especially in college, the better. You're going to save money in the long run.
But that's a big number, $30,000 in a year loss of income. Okay, let's talk about Division I, Division II, Division III. We hear it all the time. We talk with kids who are decent high school athletes, and we ask them what they like to do, and the first thing they say is they like to play Division I sports. Can anybody play Division I sports?
I mean, I think we talked about the numbers 1 and 24. Not everyone can play Division III sports, and I think one of the things that kids need to do is get out, go watch colleges, get an idea of what that Division III level is, because it's a huge jump over high school. Not even play Division I, it's an extremely rare and gifted athlete that could play at that level. And I'm sure probably we'll talk a little bit about what it takes to be a successful one in terms of managing your academics and athletics and the whole.
So the reality of it is, when we're looking at Division I, Division II, Division III athletes, when I do the numbers, and I love the numbers, as you know, 1 out of every 3 Division I athletes ever winds up having success on the field. Whereas, at Division III level, 2 out of every 3 student athletes have success on the field. Anybody want to comment on why there's a big disparity between the D1 and D3 success?
That's a good question. I mean, my guess is that Division I is a much more intensive time. It's much more intensive, scholarship level. It's a lot of travel. It's a whole different animal than Division III. That's why Division III is set up the way it is. Limited practice seasons, limited game seasons, and it's more geared towards your whole development as a person rather than just playing it.
And smaller rosters too, right?
Yeah.
Don't we find across the board Division I rosters are always larger?
Right.
In every sport.
Pretty much, yeah.
Across the country. So they have, but when they play the game, the same number of kids are on the field.
True.
So they have larger rosters than Division III, and therefore, by the numbers, you have kids that are not going to be playing at the Division I level.
True. Yeah, good point. Okay. And red shirts, which they don't have in Division III. We'll get into that later.
All right, now, I was watching CNN the other day, and we've been through the admissions of a lot of our student athletes recently. And we've heard time after time again, our college applications are on the rise.
Absolutely.
College applications, we've heard, are 20% higher in most schools, 15 to 20% higher this year than in previous years. We've also heard, as you already mentioned, student debt is on the rise.
Correct.
And more alarming than all that is we heard recently that college dropout rate is also on the rise. That's all pretty concerning. So as a family thinking about college for their student or student athlete for the next couple of years, what do you do about it?
You get the right fit. And the right fit includes that athletic right fit. It includes having an idea of your career path and making sure that the academic offerings from that university program are going to fit. So it pretty much is an integrated process of doing it all at the same time. When you're choosing your colleges, when you're choosing your career path, it's making sure you have a good fit all the way around.
I mean, the short of it is it's harder to get into, more expensive, and harder to stay in.
Absolutely.
With those three things.
But when you get it right, it falls into place.
Correct. Right.
But that's the reality of it is it's hard to get it right.
It's hard to
get those three factors in sync. So that's why all of us parents, we look at college in terms of 4 years. We don't look at college in terms of 5.5 and 6 year terms. And I don't think there's a parent out there who thinks the college is going to take 6 years to earn a college degree. And I don't think a parent is out there planning financially for that to happen. Okay, so that's the reality of it. Okay, now, question that I like to ask a lot of kids when we talk with kids. Okay, the numbers are 1 out of 24. 1 out of 24 high school senior athletes go on to get a college roster spot. Do you have to be the best one out of every 24?
Definitely not. I mean, first of all, there's kids that I've recruited that may not even be starters on their team, but they may be part-time players for whatever reason. Someone ahead of them at their same position is a superstar, or they have a conflict with the coach. I mean, there are situations where, some kids just have a finesse, and maybe they're not the best pure athlete on the team, but they're the best. They're going to project the best to the next level. So, do you have to be the best? Is the question if you have to be the best gifted athlete out of those group to play at the college level? The answer is no.
Okay,
definitely not.
Okay, so I think, and this is the point that we're going to make throughout this entire process, 1 out of 24 gets a college roster spot. My point, or my position, is that 20 out of every 24 high school athletes takes themselves out of this process by default. Why? Because they sit back, hope, wait, and wish for something to happen. Right. Rather than being proactive, getting involved academically, athletically, developmentally, connecting with college coaches, visiting campuses, and actually going through a process of being recruited.
I also think they start looking at the wrong schools at some instances. I mean, guys I play with, you got your guys who should be looking at Division III schools or looking at these top Division I programs, and it's out of their league. And instead of focusing on these Division III programs and getting prepared for that and talking to those coaches, they look at these Division I programs that are the Clemsons, the LSUs, or you're in the Final Four, you got your UConns, and it takes them out of the process because they're not going to play at that level, but they're looking at that level and putting all their resources into that level.
Well, that's a great point. We have more videos coming that discuss exactly that. Kids they had their wish list. And everybody's wanting to go to Notre Dame or University of Texas. They want to be Longhorns. They're sitting in Florida, North Carolina, or New York, and they want to go to University of Texas. What does it take to just go to University of Texas?
I mean, I think, folks, and we're going to get into this piece after, I think you have to realize how competitive it is at this next level. If we're talking about the average of 24 kids, let's take 25 kids. 20 of them don't have the talent. 20 of you, currently where you stand now, 9th grade, 10th grade watching this, you don't project to be a college athlete, much less at the Division I, unless you get motivated. Get better at your sport. Get bigger, stronger, eat right. Start making priorities in your life. Academically get your lives in order. So we're going to get to that piece after, but you have to take a realistic look at where you are because it's just not a natural movement. I go senior year and I go to be a college freshman. It's got to be pretty elite.
Okay, so this is the reality check, and I just want to review a couple quick numbers. Okay. 1 out of 24 high school kids, high school senior athletes, go on to get a college roster. Less than half have success. That means 1 out of every 50 high school senior athletes across the country can project to having success on a college sports field. Number 2, March Madness. Almost 2.5 million families right now are coming to the realization that their student athlete is not going on to college or playing sports. That's sometimes rough to digest.
Yep.
National graduation rates. Successful, satisfied student athletes, greater than 90%. Rest of the country, less than 40. 2 times better the likelihood of graduating college on time if you're a successful, satisfied student athlete. 5.8, the number of years it takes on average, the national average, to complete a 4-year college degree. $30,000 plus a year loss of income. The cost for changing your major after 1 year in college. Is it important to know your major going into it? I would say so. Division I versus Division III athletes. Where are you going to have success? That is the key. You have to have success, you have to have satisfaction, and if you do, you have a good chance of having a great college experience and graduating college on time. Okay, we've come to realize these are the sign of the times, 2011, 2012, 2013. Colleges are very competitive. We have a whole segment dedicated to the big business of college, but the fact of the matter is, it is a big business, and we're all trying to get our kids into the best colleges. It's a tough thing to do these days, to get into big colleges, or get into the quality colleges, and manage your costs, and then also stay in them.
Right.
And then in the end of this, do you have to be the best 1 out of every 25? No. But you have to be involved. And if you want to sit back on the couch and play video games, then you're not involved, and your college career is likely to end on graduation day of high school.
Absolutely.
Okay? Any other comments? Okay, that is the reality check.